So, hi, folks. Welcome to another edition of 5 Minute Football with football expert Brendon McGirr. I don't know why we call it 5 Minute Football. Why are we calling it 5 Minute Football, Brendon?
Because we now know there's always extra time, Liam. That's why.
Is that what it is? That's what it is. You must be excited, Brendon, because Charlton won a game.
Charlton have won a game the second time this season. Yeah, I still think they pulled the trigger too quick with Dean Holden. I'm not sure, but I suppose they know best. But it does seem a bit harsh. But let's hope. I would hopefully see if we got Bowyer back. I'd be happy right now.
Yeah. So have they replaced who is the manager now?
Still no manager, just an interim with Jason Pearce. But I'm hoping that the rumours are true. That I prefer to see Lee Bowyer. I think you need to someone who knows Charlton to come in right now that knows what the club's about and how to handle the youngsters. I mean, it wasn't a terrific game of football, in fairness, but we got a win. So that's all you can say. That's all you grind out a win. It's a start.
Right. What was the crowd like? Did you get a big crowd?
No, we had I think the crowd's probably half of what it was from the opening game of the season. So the reflection on the way the team's playing, I think.
Yeah, your predictions from last week. Has anybody become a millionaire, Brendon?
Well, it looked good on the Friday and the Saturday morning because the West Ham result come in, and then the Everton Sheffield Wednesday game become a draw. So I was looking good, and then I think Nottingham Forest was a coupon buster doing Chelsea, and I think I fell with. I was being optimistic. Aston Villa were going to get a draw at Liverpool, maybe. Do you know what I mean? But it's Tottenham didn't let me down. They had another good win, and then I'm afraid Arsenal smashed you at the Emirates on Sunday, like I predicted, and Palace nicked their win as well.
Yeah, so you wasn't bad, was it? It was like 8 out of 10, wasn't it, that you got?
Yeah, maybe 6. I'm not sure, to be honest, but it wasn't too bad. It was better than what I'd hoped, to be honest.
What do you reckon about Manchester United at the moment? Because they could have won it if that goal had been allowed.
Yeah, I mean it was a really good game of football to watch. That game, do you know what I mean? It could have gone either way, and like you said, it was only like a shoulder that stopped them going in front. Had they got that goal, I think they'd have gone on to win it.
Mm-hmm. Are you a supporter of VAR?
I don't know really. I mean, it's taken a bit of the fun out of the game and the arguing, isn't it, in some ways, and it has made it a little bit like a fingernail now can stop you scoring a goal, can't it?
Mind you, we could have had VAR. Do you remember that back in the day when who was it that the player Lampard scoring against Germany
Lampard in the World Cup? Yeah, I mean, he was the one that caused VAR. It's all down to him, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Tottenham are doing great, aren't they? Without Kane and everything, they're sailing through.
Tottenham and West Ham seem to be plodding along all right at the minute. Arsenal are doing well. Man City are just smashing it out as usual. Do you know what I mean? So it's beginning to get a little set pattern, isn't it? The Premier League. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, what are you thinking about Manchester United? The 2 wins, 2 losses. A lot of stick going on. They've got this Jadon Sancho thing going on where the manager's criticised him, and then Sancho's come back and criticised the manager. Should he have gone public, the manager, and about Jadon?
Never a good thing when players and managers are publicly arguing, isn't it? And it usually ends up with a manager getting sacked, I'm afraid, these days, doesn't it?
Do you think it's more likely that the manager would go before Sancho? I mean, Sancho's not exactly set the United team alight, has he?
If Sanchez gets the backing of the other players, then I think he's in trouble, the manager. Do you know what I mean? If there's any support in the dressing room, if he loses the dressing room in any way, that the manager's gone, isn't he?
Yeah.
In today, that's what it is. The players have got a lot more power than what they used to have. And if you get 2 or 3 players that are disgruntled in the first team, it just spreads like a little cancer through the team. And all of a sudden, the manager's just got to go, isn't he?
Yeah, but if you look at Sancho, he's got kind of history of this. I mean, they sent him away back to Holland to try and get his head together, and that didn't seem to work. And apparently in the other team that he's played for, he had disciplinary problems. For England, he was turning up late and stuff. So maybe, I don't like Ten Hag, but maybe I should support the manager on that one.
Well, I mean, I think it'll be harsh on the manager, but if he don't get results, Man United's a big club this stage of the season. If they're not challenging for a Champions League or a top 4, they're definitely going to be considering options, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? It's too big a club to, have a mediocre season again, really.
Yeah, I mean, I knew they'd lose to Arsenal. Like I think I said last week, every time I've gone to watch United at Arsenal, Arsenal always do them in the last 10 minutes. It's just that goes back to the 70s when I was watching them there, when George Best and Bobby Charlton and all that were playing. They used to get thumped 4-0 and stuff like that. It's not a good ground for United.
No, they ain't even got a good record in cup finals against them. Have they? I think 79, you had the old Alan Sunderland winner in the last minute.
Yes. So are you a fan of the international break?
It always seems to just come a bit early in the season, doesn't it? For football, you just start getting into it, and then it's all gone for a week again. So, I suppose it's something that they've built into the game, and we just got to get on with it. But it don't affect us teams in the lower league. Usually, we don't notice. Do you know what I mean?
Now, I always find, you start a Premier thing and, it's all exciting, it's all really going on, and then it just stops.
We got a Scotland international soon to commemorate from 1872, I think was the first one, wasn't it? So I think it's 150 years or something. So.
Oh, is that what it is? We got Scotland and I think Ukraine. So, I mean, the England-Scotland games used to be fantastic, didn't they, back in the day?
I'd like to see at some point, I don't know why we don't have get the old mini home nations thing going again. Do you know what I mean? Because it was good, and it helps the youngsters. Like that'd be games that the younger players could be involved in, give them experience at international level.
Yeah, well, I mean, Scotland used to have some amazing players back in the day, didn't they? I mean, what was that team that went to the World Cup? They had some brilliant players in that team, didn't they?
Did they make it in 74 and 78, didn't they, I think?
Yeah, 74, they brought Dennis Law back, and then 78.
And they had Archie Gemmell and Joe Jordan, Buchanan, Gordon McQueen.
Oh, some fantastic players going. And then they thought they were going to smash it, didn't they? They thought they were going to win the World Cup in 78, didn't they?
I think they was a bit too much on the piss there, no, Liam, with that.
Wouldn't be like them, would it? Wouldn't be like them. But what do you think about should Liverpool accept the 200 million for Salah?
I think they will definitely accept it, and I think he will go. Yeah, because Liverpool can replace Salah. You know what I mean? I know he's a great player, but with 200 million, Liverpool are shrewd enough. Klopp's shrewd enough. He'll know that he won't get that for him again, and I think they can definitely do a better deal once he goes.
Yeah, absolutely. He is 31 now. I mean, it's they were bidding 150 million, and now it's 200 million. So I think he should go. What did you think about the Roy Keane headbutt scenario?
Well, like the poor geezer's broke his nose, isn't he, doing it? So the bloke who headbutted Roy Keane has got a broken nose. So
a bit of a mistake.
You got to feel for him. Do you know what I mean? He couldn't even get that on target.
Exactly. It's a wrong bloke to have a go at, Now, here's a little pub thing. Who, last week we did the top 5 of, greatest players of all time. Who's been your most disliked player that you really didn't like watching?
I've never looked at a really disliked player. I mean, there's been some dirty players. Your Norman Hunters and that were famous for being dirty, weren't they? Do you know what I mean? Tommy Smith was. I mean, I never said they was disliked. I'd have said hard men of football, but to say that they, I mean, the modern game has got more snidey. Alan Hudson made a really good comment when I spoke to him that he thinks that before the game, the referee should go into both dressing rooms and go, every single one of you is on a yellow card for diving. Before you go out, you've already got a yellow card. So the first dive you do, you're off. First time you roll about, feign an injury or do a dive in a penalty box, you're off.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's pathetic, all of that, rolling around and all of that. And, you've hardly been touched.
If they get touched on the nose or flicked in the eye or anything, they roll about like they've been proper hit in the face with, like Dave with a knuckle duster. Do you know what I mean? So the Stuart Pearces used to just get straight up after they got clobbered.
Absolutely.
Even the centre forwards, the Osgoods and the Chivers and all that, all just knew at that time they were just more. They were just better men, weren't they? Just they didn't have that fancy laying about on the floor, breaking a nail.
I'm a big fan of people like Zidane when he did the headbutt in the World Cup final.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit severe in a World Cup final, though, wasn't it? But just you could say he was a passionate player, couldn't you?
Yeah, well, I think when you do something like that, you become like a cult figure, don't you? It's like Cantona,
Yeah.
going into the crowd at Palace.
I mean, I think Cantona was right to do that kick. Really, do you know what I mean? If they was that abusive to him,
Absolutely.
just because you were standing just outside the field of play, you wouldn't say that to him on the street and expect him not to do something. So, you know what I mean? If he said that, you should have been prepared for it.
I loved it. Fantastic. Those were the days. Right, we've only got a few more bit of time. So when we come back after I think it's the 16th is the next big one. West Ham are playing Man City, and that's going to be a good one.
That would be a good test, wouldn't it, for West Ham?
Yeah. Who's your prediction on that one?
Realistically, I can't really see West Ham getting anything out of that game. I think Man City would just be a bit too strong. I mean, West Ham are doing all right at the moment, but have they played anyone of real significance? Luton Town, 3-1, I think it was, but they've just come Premiership. I don't think they can claim any big scalps at the minute, West Ham, can they?
No, and Tottenham are up against Sheffield United, so that should be another win for them. So it's going to be quite good. I think it's City all the way. I really do. I think it's all over.
Well, I don't know. I still think you've got to keep Arsenal in there. In fairness, they're the only ones I think at the minute. Liverpool might put a bit of a challenge together if they're depending on what happens with Salah, if it goes and because they can still get players from somewhere else in, can't they? I know the loans are still open now, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, the Saudi window's open for another sort of 3 weeks, so the more players can be going out.
I do think Salah will go. I mean, he's 31. He's not going to get enough for the money he must be getting over there. Must be absolutely phenomenal. He's won a Champions League. He's won a Premier League here with Liverpool. He's got nothing to prove. He might as well just go and cash in his last couple of years, hasn't he?
Absolutely. Well, now on 5-minute football, we've gone way over again, but we are hopefully, and this is going to be good. We're going to be doing some interviews with different people, aren't we?
Hopefully, we've got Frank McAvenny coming up. Is our next one?
Yeah, Frank. Tell us about Frank McAvenny.
Frank is a football cult hero of his generation. Even today, like any West Ham fan, Celtic fan, you mentioned Frank McAvenny, and they absolutely love him to bits. Do you know what I mean? He was one of the old-fashioned stars of the game. I'm afraid we're never going to see a Frank McAvenny in the game again. Do you know what I mean? It's just the way football's gone. So he's even more of a legend and a genuinely funny man. Do you know what I mean? Really funny. He's got some of the best football stories we'll hear from him, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. So we're going to be doing that later. And, he liked a night out, didn't he?
Frank loved a night out. He definitely did like a night out, Frank. Yeah, was well known for it and didn't care, enjoyed it, but could still have a night out and go and kick on the pitch the next day. Frank, he was just a force of nature in that way.
Brilliant. All right, folks, hope you enjoyed it. We're going to be back next week with another 5-minute football. In fact, if you've got any suggestions for a new name for this, do put them in because it's never going to be 5 minutes. So from Brendon and me, we'll see you soon.